And so I understood that if I were to lose this case, that it was going to have a massive, detrimental effect on the community. And I remember, I remember when the verdict was read, and it was a unanimous defense verdict from my client, and she her knees buckled, and I just caught her. She basically almost fainted.
Well, I'm so happy today for our guest, Paul Sheston from Sheston Law Group. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited. I was checking your profile and I realized that you were speaking, you were a guest speaker in different events, and I was thinking, wow, that's nice. So that means that we can get a really good insights and advice from an attorney like you. Well, tell me something, Paul. You are in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I just want to start asking you: is there something in your career, a specific moment that really created a big impact as a professional, as a person, that really affect in a positive way your firm?
Yeah, I think so. I think if I had to think back on the last 16 years or so that I've been doing this work, um, one of the moments that really stands out to me was, I had a case that went to trial in northern Arizona, and it was for a healthcare facility up there. And I remember just one day feeling the gravity of the case, meaning that it was, the one of the largest employers in the county. Um, it was, a place where a lot of people in that area of the state were getting their health care. And so I understood that if I were to lose this case, that it was going to have a massive, detrimental effect on the community. And so the weight of that sort of hit me during the trial. And I remember, I remember when the verdict was read, and it was a unanimous defense verdict from my client, and she her knees buckled, and I just caught her. She basically almost fainted because just the weight of everything that we had been through up to that point had hit her all at once, and she just basically collapsed just out of sheer exhaustion, but also joy, that she had survived.
Wow, that's a little, it really touched my heart, because I came from Central America, and when I was doing my process, my attorney was my hero as well.
Yes.
So there's a lot of feelings. What can you tell me about it? Because you as an attorney, as a professionals, you're thinkers. You're solving big problems, but in the same time, life. You change lives. Like you're telling me right now with this lady, it's a big thing. It's not like my garage door doesn't work anymore. Okay, how can I fix it? You're touching life. You're changing lives. Especially because you are in the medical field. Is that right?
Yeah. So, I come from a long line of medical professionals. My mom was a nurse for 47 years. My sister is a nurse. My other sister is a assisted living manager. So I understand that these are people who are wired to help. They are truly, have their heart in the right place, and they want to do what's best for the patient. And so when they are targeted, in a lawsuit, it really hits them, in their deepest core down to their soul, because this is who they identify as a person. And now somebody is calling into question, their professional judgment or their skill set. And so, you know, I take for granted sometimes, because we have, so many cases that come through the firm over the years. Sometimes I take for granted, like, how important it is for some of these medical professionals, in terms of, exonerating their professional reputations, and you know and having their judgment and their, intentions questioned is a major thing for people. So you're right, it is about feelings, and it is extremely important that we leave no stone unturned when it comes to these cases, because we have to get down to the truth. We have to get down to the medical science of why these things happened in a medical case. And, sometimes, it's the extra digging that we do and the extra effort that we put into these cases that ends up uncovering something that will end up exonerating our clients. So, we have to treat everybody, as if it's our first case, and we do. We don't pull any punches, and as I said, we don't leave any stone unturned when it comes to the medicine.
Well, I love that. We treat we need to treat everyone like it's the first case. Yeah, because in the first case you want to win, you want to do your best. This is good. This I think that being in the other side when I was receiving the help for an attorney, um, I think that I was so impacted because my wife and me were in a car accident. I don't share too much about this, and she was in coma for a couple weeks, and I realized how important were have good doctors and nurses, and how devastating it can be if you don't get the right treatment as well. So I think that in that position, when I was there in the hospital, it was my soul, my heart, my mind over there, and is the point that the attorney is like the only person that can save us and give us hope. It's nice to hear when the attorney really can feel that and show empathy about it.
I think when we're exhausted as attorneys and our staff are exhausted and we feel like we can't go on, one of the greatest sources of motivation for me is it's not so much the provider that we're defending, but I think about all of the people that this person will not be able to help if we don't save their career, if that makes sense. So all the people down the road who are going to need help and are going to benefit from their expertise and their medical knowledge and care, those people will not get to have that if we don't do our job now and get to the truth, and defend our healthcare clients. So, that's kind of what keeps me going. When I am running on very little to no sleep. Um, Sometimes in these trials, you can lose 15 pounds just because it's just such a stressful thing, and you're just eating whenever you get a moment. But you're eating or you're sleeping the case, you're thinking about the case when you're awake, you're thinking about the case in the shower, you're thinking about the case 24/7. So, um, when we start to run out of gas, we got to come up with a motivation that keeps us going and gets us to the finish line.
Well, that brings me to another really important point that I think that our audience will love to hear from an attorney like you. You mentioned something that I think that is crucial. For any business owner. You go home, you have if you have thinking about how to solve this case, how to handle that case is in your mind is when you are taking a shower or you're eating it. How, Paul, you balance? What do you think is gonna be? Well, before you give the advice, how you balance your personal life with your professional life, when it's normal for us to bring those things in our mind the whole day, because we're worried, we're trying to find a solution, in how do you work in on balancing that personal life and professional life?
Well, it is the biggest, challenge I think in our profession, is that we are a lot of times workaholics, and we care so much about our clients and our cases that it's very, very hard to turn it off, mentally. But that being said, my children are a tremendous source of relief and re-energization of my batteries. Having I'm a big dog person, so having dogs, kinda, waiting for you to get home and, have been looking forward to seeing you all day. That's always a great, welcome when you open the door. And then, your spouse has to be your rock and your support system, and, is taking kids to activities when you can't make it, and is just there to cover for you. So I have I have an amazing wife that is able to make up for a lot of my shortcomings because I'm so involved in work. But I really value the time that we get to spend together when I'm not working. And I think at the end of the day that they're, proud that their dad, is a hard worker and helps people um, save their careers or save their companies. And so they understand on some level that, it's not a 9 to 5. It's really is, especially when you own your own firm, it really is like having another child, and a very, very demanding one at that.
Well, you know what? You mentioned something that I really love. You said, because I talk with a lot of attorneys, and sometimes their kids doesn't understand exactly what are they doing. So you mentioned that when your kids understand what you do, how you are helping other people, they support you more. It makes sense, you know. It's like you can have employees that they don't understand what are our goals. So our family is a team as well, you know. And when they understand what exactly we're doing, how we are helping the community, they can understand. In some cases, you cannot be able to be in one place or with them or something, you know, because they know the way that you are helping. Sometimes I think, I don't know what you think, but sometimes they see, okay, we are working, we are making money, but they don't understand what exactly or how exactly we are helping the community, you know. So I think that that point that you mentioned, you know, is good. Actually, got my attention about the dogs, you know. So if you are listening this, and you need more people to be so happy when you come home, you know, get some dogs. It's true. It helps
It's
a lot.
it's yes, it's proven, there's been studies about people's happiness directly being linked to owning a dog and even your longevity. So dogs are a good thing, and they never, hold it against you when you are late or you can't make it. They're just happy to see you 24/7.
Yeah, yeah, that's nice. Well, I want that everyone can pay attention because I want to ask something to Paul, you know, about how he built his own business, and I think that everyone has a really nice story when we are thinking to open our own firm, you know, and of course challenges and um, always gonna be there, you know, and we need to take risks. We always need to have faith in us. And I want that you can hear what Paul is going to share with us because he shared a couple of things, you know, before we were doing this interview. And the other thing that got my attention is that you started your own business in the middle of the pandemic. Is that right?
May 1st, 2021, right in the height of the worst part of, the pandemic. I thought this is my time, and it was more of a feeling, than anything, like in your gut, you just know when it's time. And even though, everything around you might be saying this is bad timing, you have to trust yourself, you have to believe in yourself. And I always say, like, a risk, if you're a risk averse person, taking a risk on yourself is always a bet that I'm willing to take, because I know that at the end of the day, I'm gonna outwork everybody. I'm going to, persevere. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't happen, it won't be because I didn't give it 100%, And luckily, over the last 3.5 years or so that we've been in business, things have only gotten better. We've gotten more clients. We've gotten notoriety in the industry, as somebody that is trusted and can be trusted with major exposure cases, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollar cases. They want to have their trust in us, and that's a huge compliment to my staff, to myself, everybody.
Oh, and that's nice. So that means that there's a point when when you have when you have your thoughts and feelings about, do I need to jump or do I need to do it by myself? You shared with me about the compliments that the firms that you were working with were sharing with you about it. How was that feeling? Well, how was that moment? And how do you feel when you turn in the middle of the pandemic to open your own firm here in Scottsdale? Tell us a little bit more about that. What happened, and how was it, so everybody over there can realize and think and feel some empathy, and understand that it's possible, when we pay attention about those feelings and those thoughts that comes to our minds.
Well, I think like a lot of attorneys, I had been in private practice for a number of years before I went out on my own. But everybody who's done that will know this moment when you have to go to your clients, the people you've built relationships with, the people you've handled their cases for, and you have to go to them and you have to basically lay it out on the line and say, "Hey, I'm going out on my own. I'm going to start my own firm, and I need to know whether you want to keep your case where it is or you want to come with me." And that's kind of the moment of truth. So I remember writing those letters to each client at the time because have to be it has to be in writing what their election is. And I remember writing those letters thinking, I feel like these people trust me and I feel like I've done great work for them over the years. But at the end of the day, I don't know what they're going to choose. I didn't know. And there was some element of fear there. But at the end of the day, every single person, every single client company that we approached about, coming with us when we started the firm, and I say us because I brought several staff members with me, and we did it together as a group. But every single person that we sent one of those letters to said, "Yes, I want my case and my continuing legal work and relationship to be with you." And that was a tremendous boost of confidence at a time, as I said, when things were very uncertain economically. People didn't know what was coming, and so to have that boost of confidence and to have the clients, have that belief and trust in me at that time when things were so uncertain, it was a big deal. And I think I had told you before, like if you're already a hard worker and you're already proud of what you do, it takes on a totally different meaning when you look up on the door and it's your name. It's a totally different experience, and it can be very stressful, right? Because these people that you have taken with you in terms of your staff and the people that you hire, they're counting on you for an income, and their families are counting on you. That's how they make their livelihood. So I don't take it lightly. I never wake up and think, "Oh, I've got it made." Every day is different, but I made a commitment to them that I was gonna do whatever I could do in my power, to make this work, and knock on wood, things have been really going great for the last 3.5 years, so I don't have any reason to think otherwise. I'm gonna keep doing what we're doing, and I've got a tremendous team here, and so we're just very specialized at what we do, and, I'm just so proud of everybody here.
That's really nice. That's really nice. I cannot imagine the feeling, when you mentioned that you have the name, your name in the door, and I saw that now is your building. It's
Right.
a big building that says all your name there, your last name is. I think your wife can see that, your kids can see that, and this is something a really nice feeling. But to be at this point in 3 years, how many people are working with you right now?
So we've got 5 lawyers, we've got, multiple support staff, paralegals, legal assistants, in-house legal nurse consultants. We also, I believe we're the only law firm in the state that has a medical doctor on staff. So, we're very, specifically wired and geared to handle these medical cases. That's what we're set up to do, and that's what everybody here knows how to do. So you're not going to see us take, a DUI case or a family law case or an estate planning case. Like we only do defense of medical providers in Arizona and New Mexico. That's all we do.
That's great. So, a good insight that you can share with us is there's a lot of attorneys that I know that they have just one paralegal, an assistant, and it's just them. How? What's gonna be the advice that you can share about delegation? You know,
Yeah, well,
about well, delegation is the key to plan to grow. If you don't know how to delegate, because I was talking with an attorney, says Gilberto, they won't do the work that I'm doing it. So I don't trust it. It says no one will do the work that you do. No one, because you work so hard. You open this building, everything, but you need to learn to delegate so you can have more time for yourself too, and you can grow. What do you think's gonna be an advice? After you in 3 years go through that experience of delegation.
Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge how hard it is for a self-admitted control freak to give up control. It's just very, very difficult. But I think number one, you have to hire the right team, right? So you have to have people that you respect and you believe in. And then the second part of that, I think, is the training and the education. So if you train people correctly and in the right way, the way that you want things done, um, and they're talented people to begin with, then there's no limit to what they can achieve. And it's just a matter of getting them the repetition they need in doing those things so that they, are able to think to themselves, okay, I did task A and I'm looking ahead to the end of the case. What do I need to do between now and then to get us to where we need to be? And it's that independent thought process, and having them do that on their own without you prompting, that's the key. They have to understand why it is we do what we do, and what steps need to be taken along the way to get us to where we want to be.
Well, nice. So I think that it's crucial for everyone to understand that has a process to delegate their task. How to supervise how the people are doing and create a nice culture. Like you were sharing. I love to hear when a business owner said, "I have an amazing team." Like you did it. I think that tells me a lot about the business owner. What is your advice for other attorneys about marketing? What do you do to get clients? How do you think that we need to use the internet in these days? To so more people can see you.
Well, I mean, I think luckily we're in the kind of niche practice area where a lot of things just kind of come to you because you get a reputation in the industry. But I do think that, there you really can't overstate the importance of testimonials. People that have been through a process with you and who can speak to, your diligence or your communication level, all those things. That goes a long way, especially when you're like, say, there's a physician who gets sued. He's never been sued before, is very, nervous and fearful. I mean, they want the assurance of knowing that the person that's going to be representing them is somebody who's been there before, who's seen this issue before and knows how to deal with it. And it is going to make them feel better about where the defense is headed. So I think testimonials is a big thing. I think, you know, brand awareness, having your name in the community, and sort of that takes time, but like developing sort of a reputation as a trusted resource is one of the things that we're working on.
Oh, well, that's nice. So, who motivates you as a business owner? As we talked that you said you go home and your wife and there was, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing? And but who motivates you? Like your wife or our wife sometimes comes and says, "Oh, you're awesome," but that's gonna be every I don't know once every 3 months or 6 months. But who motivates you? Tell us. We know who motivates you. When it's something that we need to handle by yourself, but who motivates you and how you can motivate yourself.
I recently went to a conference in San Diego that was put on by a company called Echelon Front, and it's a company that's owned by former Navy SEALs, right? And so these are guys who have been through war, and a lot of the guys that work for them are survivors of war related injuries. And I remember, feeling like, this gentleman came up on stage who had both of his legs blown off in an IED in a war. I believe it was Iraq, or if not, if it might have been Afghanistan. But I remember thinking to myself, like, here's a guy who got his legs blown off, and he's up here trying to motivate me to run my business better. It just really it puts it all in perspective, and it really truly does come down to where your mindset is. And if he can do it, then God knows I can do it. Like there's no excuses for me not to do what I need to do and not to lead my team in a way that they deserve to be led because um, there's people out there that have experienced so much worse and have come through, you know, incredible adversity in circumstances that you and I could never imagine. And they're out there. They're not making excuses for themselves. They're getting out there and they're doing it. And so that was honestly it was a really inspiring, almost life changing experience to see that.
That's nice to hear. So that's a great example.
And God bless them, those guys.
Yeah, yeah. I have a friend that I met in my country, and I met with him a couple of years ago in Utah, and I think that he got diabetes, and he lost. In that time, I remember that he lost one foot, and he told me that he cannot see anymore. So I was thinking I need to go and see him. And when I arrived to the place, he says, "I will be outside, Gilberto," and I said, "Okay." So I was driving, looking my phone to trying to find him, and I said, "Okay, I'm outside right now. Can you tell me where I can find you?" And he says to me, "What color is your car?" He says, "It's white." And I thought, "Oh my goodness, he got me. He cannot see." And he started to laugh. And I was like, "Oh, okay, he got me." He was laughing and laughing. So I met with him, like you said, and it really almost made me cry when he said to me, "You know what? Um, uh, I said, you lost your foot. Is that right?" He said, "No, I lost my leg." He says, "Oh, so you don't have a leg?" I said, "No, I don't have both legs." And he showed me that, and I was like, "Wow, that's so impressive." And he was walking, you know, and he was happy. And I asked him, "When you can you see the light is on or is dark for you?" And he says, "Well, that's a problem that I have. It's always white, so I cannot distinguish if it's dark. But it's always that's why it's hard for me to go to sleep because it's always white." And like you said, sometimes, especially you that are in the medical field too, sometimes we don't appreciate what we have, and we are already successful, having our family and a job. So anyway, that just remind me your experience as well. Well, Paul, I want to ask you, what would be an advice that you can give to attorneys if they're starting their own firm? What do you think is going to be a good advice that you can share with us, so they can be feel motivated and in that journey as an attorney?
I would say, well, first of all, you know, get ready to work harder than you've ever worked in your life for the first, 24 to 36 months. And then I would say, whatever it is that you do well that got you to this point, just keep doing that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to try to come up with some, novel way to do things that other people aren't doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's all about perseverance. It's all about doing the little things well and consistently. So as long as you have the right mindset, as long as you have a hard work ethic, and as long as you have a good team, there's really nothing that can stop you. It just have to stay with it and keep at it.
Great, great. Okay. Any mentors that you had that helped you to focus and do that?
There's been a lot of lawyers over the years that I would consider mentors. People that maybe didn't even know they were being mentors at the time. But you pick up little things from people along the way, and that kind of helps mold you into the person and the lawyer that you're going to be, and your own style, whatever that is, when you figure that out. But Yeah, there's been a lot of people over the years that I would definitely consider to be mentors that have taught me more than I could ever um, imagine to have figured out on my own. That's for sure.
That's great. That's great. Do you want to mention a couple names?
John Checkett is a was a great mentor to me. Um, um, Jim Blair. There's a lot of these older people that not John's not super old, but like old attorneys that are more experienced. You know, when you come up through the ranks, you think to yourself, God, how did they amass all of this knowledge and this experience? And you know, they're very gracious with their time, especially with younger attorneys. You know, showing them the ropes and stuff, and um, always be grateful for those relationships.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much for being with us. I think that we got really, really good information from you, that can touch our hearts and our brains, to understand that is possible, Someone that just with 3 years has a nice firm, and it's Scottsdale, and with 5 attorneys, and it started in the middle of the pandemic. So are you kidding me? It's possible. Like you said, we just need to jump when we have those feelings, and work hard, have the discipline, like you mentioned, and appreciate everything that our kids and our wife, and buy some dogs, so we can feel even better, uh, and start to build our own story, Paul, thank you very much for taking this time to share with us your insights, and your journey. We really, really appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to speaking with you again.
Okay, Paul, thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye bye.
Thank you for watching and listening. If you're an attorney with your own law firm, we know you have valuable experiences to share. Reach out to us. We would love to interview you and bring your story to life on our show to inspire other attorneys in their journey.